Today we're going to be installing Raspbian Stretch with Desktop. It's the latest version that came out in April of 2018. Here you can see I've already started downloading it. I recommend that you select the download it through zip. That seems to be what works best for me. So you can see it's downloading here. Just have a little ways to go. Now once it's done downloading, you're going to want to install this on your micro SD card. So if you've got a micro SD card handy, just download a program called 7-zip, or actually I'm sorry, SD formatter. So here I'm just showing you some of the previous files that are zipped, some of the older ones, and there's the newer one. And this way I can just select it and then go right click and select and select 7-zip from the menu. Then here you'll just press OK and you'll unzip the file. Usually it's best just to unzip the file to the same folder that you've got the zip file stored in. That way it makes it easier to find. So here is our micro SD card plugged into our computer. From here we can go to SD formatter, open it up, now that we've unzipped it. And in here you want to make sure that you've got your drive letter correct, that it's J, that's our boot, that's our mini disk. And also verify by looking at the size. And you can change, I recommend go ahead and turn on format for adjustment, and then go ahead and format it. You'll get a couple of messages warning you. If you've corrected the correct disk, then that's okay. And then just verify the size of your micro SD card and go ahead and exit that. Now you can open up Win Disk Imager, and this is the program that you'll be using to put your OS on the mini card. So go ahead and you're going to want to go ahead and select that. There's the unzipped folder. We'll open up the folder, find the image, double click on that, and then go back to there, and then all you have to do at that point is hit write. Verify the disk is, in this case it's J, it's our boot disk. We'll go ahead and hit write. Now most of this will take quite a long time to do. I have purposefully sped through most of this process because I'm sure you've got better things to do than watch this whole process take hold. It is a lengthy process. If any time you feel like this might be moving a little bit too fast for you, just go ahead and hit the pause button, or you can actually change the settings to show it slower. Okay, so when this is all done, you'll get a write is successful, and you just click OK on that, and then exit the program. Like I said, if you need to, you can change the speed so you can slow it down, or if you need to pause it, I recommend doing that. Now, of course, you're going to want to eject your micro SD card correctly. Make sure that nothing's writing to it at the time that you eject it. So go ahead and properly eject that. Now, in this case, I'm using one of these little readers that you could plug your mini SD card into. And once you've written that to the card, you can go ahead and take the card and slide it into your Raspberry Pi. Now, I recommend that you turn your Raspberry Pi upside down. That way you don't accidentally slide the card in between the case and the board. So that way you don't have to take the whole case apart just to get at the card. Another thing you want to look out for is to make sure that you insert the power cable into the Raspberry Pi correctly by making sure that because one side is going to be smaller than the other. Make sure you do that. You don't want to ruin it. And you want to do the same for the HDMI connector. Make sure that that's correctly slid in. Now at this point, all you have to do is plug the power in and it'll reboot. So at this point, I've installed the HDMI cable into my TV set, and we're booting up the Raspberry Pi for the very first time. You're going to want to do this so that you can make sure that everything resizes properly and that you select SSH so that you can actually use PuTTY to get into your Raspberry Pi. And also you'll want to set the password. So when it first comes up, you want to go to the little start menu. You can see I had to change the aspect ratio of my TV in order to be able to see the menu system. I'm sorry about that. I've got a little bit of shine from the back door being open. It makes it a little bit harder to see, but you go into the configuration file. You want to change the password. So at this point, we'll change the password. And when you're done, just select OK. And then you want to go to Interfaces, turn on your SSH, and click OK. Now you could set up the time zone and everything now, but just for expedience, we'll just separate through that. We'll skip that. So at this point, we'll go ahead and we'll shut down the Raspberry Pi, and we'll be running it in a headless situation after this point. So we will no longer need the HDMI cord. All we'll need is to plug it into an Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and then log into it with PuTTY. So yeah, we don't even need a keyboard. All we need at this point is internet and power to it and the card inserted. Okay, so if you don't know the IP address of your Raspberry Pi, you can always go into your router and check to see if you can get that IP address. You'll need that IP address when logging in through Pi. Okay, so at this point we're going to go ahead and we're going to update and upgrade the Raspberry Pi. So we'll use sudo apt-get update and then sudo apt-get upgrade. If you're prompted, you may need to select Y and then press the enter key. As you can see here, it's asking, so we'll just type the letter Y and then hit the enter key. Okay, we're going to want to set up SAMBA file sharing so that we can get in through our local network. As you can see, I had a couple of prompts about video issues. Wanted me to change some settings on my computer, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so we've go ahead and we've rebooted our Raspberry Pi, and we're going to log back into it. It's still not up yet, so I have to give it a few seconds. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and enter in the username Pi and enter in our password. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our SAMBA file sharing. So we'll go sudo apt-get install SAMBA. If you're prompted for use of more disk space, just press Y and the enter key. Now we're going to do sudo nano / etc. / SAMBA / can't quite read that. Something config. And we're gonna have to enter that config file right there. And the best way to do that is just hold down your control button and the K button, and that'll delete everything that's in there. So yeah, Control K. You'll see everything scrolling up. It's deleting it. Then once that's done, we'll copy and paste our global information there. And we'll just paste that into there. And then Control X, and then Y to save, and then press the Enter key. Now I'll be providing a link below to where you can find these, so you can do an easy copy and paste so that you don't have to type this all in. So at this point, we're going to need to set up a password. That's sudo SMB password. And it's going to ask you for the password. You just type that in, and then it'll ask you to retype it in. Retype that in. And then you'll need to reboot the Pi again. So just sudo reboot. Now when this comes back up, when it's ready to come back up in PuTTY, you're going to want to install a zip program to run in your Pi. Right now you just see me checking to see if it shows up in my network. The Raspberry Pi that you see there is actually another Raspberry Pi that I actually have on the network. So that's not the correct one. But so we're logging in Pi, put in our password. Now we'll go ahead and hit sudo apt-get install zip. Actually, I'm going to check the config file and see if everything's in it that's supposed to be in it. Once I verify that, I can change the name from Raspberry Pi. I'll just go ahead and change that to Raspberry Pi 2, just so that we can keep them, the different two of them situated, so we know which one's which. So now we'll scroll down and go to that zip. Oh yeah, before we do that, we're going to have to hit Control X and Y, and we may just be thrown right back into the terminal if we didn't make any changes. If we did, we'll then get a hit Y and then Enter. So now you see me doing the sudo apt-get install zip, and there's a link to where you can get Notepad++. You'll need that in the future. Now for OpenHAB 2.1 installation, we'll go ahead and go sudo apt-get or sudo apt-get update. We'll do the update again, and then we'll do the upgrade again, sudo apt-get upgrade. Now if you're asked if you want to continue, just press Y and then Enter. And then next we'll type in sudo apt-get install screen mtvlm, however that's pronounced. Just copy and paste that in. And then the next one, we need to install some Zumba files because OpenHAB doesn't like the previous version of Java. So we'll go ahead and add up the stuff we need for that. If you see me going really fast through some of this, you'll see that I actually, if you paused it, that I'd made a few mistakes. But after that's done, now we will copy the next line of code, paste that in, and now it's asking for the next line. We're going to make sure of our version of Java. Okay, so I'm going to get the next line in there and hit enter. And we're going to verify that we're using the correct version of Zulu. And we also want to select which one we're going to use. So we're going to press 1 and then the enter key. Now here I'm just checking the Java version. And should have done that. Don't need to do that. But just verify all the information in there is correct. That is similar to what I've posted in there. You can see I zoomed through that. That wasn't something I was supposed to enter in. It kept giving me an error. So next, we're going to do this. We're going to download and extract the latest official stable version of OpenHAB. Change the directory. And we're going to download it to that directory. After it's finished downloading, we'll go ahead and paste in our next one. And again, you can see I'm just going along, just one after another. Now, you could just, with the newer version, you could just type in CD for a change directory. And you can see we've gone back to the main directory. And we will copy the next line, paste it in there, do the same for each of the lines. Now, when this is done, all we have to do is open up a browser and type in http : the IP address of your Raspberry Pi and semicolon 8080. And we can see if OpenHAB is installed. So we can see at this time it is installed, but if for some reason your Pi were to get unplugged or reboot because of a power outage, it wouldn't come back up. So we're going to make sure that if there is a power outage, that it comes back up. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some things into our Raspberry Pi, but what we're going to do first is reboot it. So now we'll log back into our Raspberry Pi. And once there, we'll go ahead and create a file. So we'll copy and paste this into our terminal. Now to let us into that file, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this in the file. So we'll copy all of this and we'll paste this into there, and again we want to do the Control X, and then we want to do Y to save it, and then hit our enter key, and it'll bring us out of there back into our terminal. At this point we'll just keep copying and pasting the things that I have in the document here. And we only do these ones once. And as long as you don't get an error, we're doing good. We're close to finished. So one more here to copy and paste in there. And we'll double check that it looks similar to what we have in here, making sure that everything that's in our terminal in the Raspberry Pi looks similar to that. I've included a few links of places you can look at documentation. Okay, so we're going to set up our Raspberry Pi for remote desktop. So we'll go ahead and close out of there, just open it back up again. Actually, why don't we just check to make sure that OpenHAB there comes up. So that's 192. In my yours may be different. Your IP address may be a little bit different. we saw that it's back up. And log back into our Raspberry Pi. And we can finish with the XRDP setup. So we'll just do a sudo apt-get install XRDP. Now, a lot of the configuration in my file is for the older version of Stretch, and everything's a little bit different. XRDP used to work really well with Jesse, but then the first version of Stretch, it didn't work so well. So at this point, I wanted to try to uninstall a different program used for, I think it's VNC server. I wanted to get rid of that. So you can see it kind of copied and pasted over a few things and didn't work out right. But so I didn't uninstall that, but the link is there for going ahead and uninstalling that. So at this point, we're just going through the setup of the HA Bridge version 5. We're making the directory, changing our directory to be in it, and then downloading it. And now we'll go in and set up the configuration. Okay, so we'll need to copy all this stuff, and we need to put that in that file, and then of course save the file and then exit it. Like I said before, if you need to slow this video down, or if you need to pause it, feel free to pause it. Again, we're just copying and pasting, changing directory. Okay, now at this point we'll need to enter in all that stuff into here and then save it and exit it. So we'll copy everything from cd/home all the way down to the cmod 777. So copy all that, go ahead and paste that in there, Control X, and then Y, and then the Enter key. Brings us back to terminal. Copy and paste the next line in. Okay, now we can go back to our browser and go ahead and type in the IP address and make sure she still comes up. And as you can see, it's there. Still needs to be configured, but we've gotten that part installed. So this is the end of the video. I've provided extra links. Again, I'll provide a place for you to be able to download that document. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, just keep visiting my channel or subscribe. I forgot. At this point, we want to make a backup of our disk. So we'll go ahead and unplug our Raspberry Pi and pull out the little SD card and insert that into our computer. And then we'll go ahead and we'll make a backup copy of it. That way, if anything happens, we change anything in the future that messes it up, we can go ahead and reinstall this without having to do all this work all over again. So we'll select our image file. Right now you can see I'm just trying to figure out what kind of name I want to give it. I want to make sure it doesn't have the same name as something else. So in this case I'm going to select the date And I'm going to get rid of the raspbian part, keep the stretch part, and I'll go ahead and save this to my desktop. That way it's easy to find for now. You could copy this over to a flash disk or something, maybe bury it somewhere where you know where it is in your file system. So we'll go ahead and rename it. Go ahead and save it to our desktop. Okay, now at this point we just have to press read. When that's all done, it'll give us a message letting us know it's all done. And then we can go ahead and exit out of that. Let's speed through this thing here. We don't want to be sitting here all day watching this. Again, if you've learned anything from this video or you found it helpful, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be adding some more things to my channel soon. And this is it for our home automation and stretch setup. There's our file. Okay, thanks for watching.